Hey everyone, welcome to New Jersey for the final 3 races of 2019. In this video we're looking at both races 1 and 2, mostly skipping over race 1 because for some reason the camera had fogged up and the entire race video is really blurry. You can see it in the background, it's really hard to see anything. So we're just going to go over it really quickly, look at the results, and then move on to race 2. So the race 1 results, Jonathan Kotick took the win ahead of Josh Green and Bryce Aaron. We came home in 6th place. It was a very solid 6th place. After the first 2 laps or so, there became a huge gap in front of us, a huge gap behind us, and then pretty much after the second lap I was on the track almost alone completely. So if we look at the championship standings, we've moved up into 7th place. We're a good bit behind Scott Rebenzer, and we're about, 50 points or so behind Burton August. So it's going to be a little bit tricky. I think we might get ahead of Scott Rebenzer if we can continue this pace, yeah, so we should be able to get ahead of Scott Rebenzer. Burton August is going to be a little bit more difficult to sneak into 5th, but I think Dexter Zuba is not competing this weekend, so we might be able to just sneak in front of him. So definitely a solid top 10 finish is possible for the season. Let's see if we can get into the top 5, maybe just barely. Yeah, so we're looking pretty good for the championship, especially considering how our season started. I think to be in sort of the bottom half of the top 10 isn't too bad, considering we missed the first 3, 4, 5 races or so. So if we look at race 2, we'll be starting 8th. The 2 cars that finished, two of the cars that finished behind us will be starting in front of us. I think that's because they were racing in a group and they had advantage of the draft, where I was on the track pretty much myself for the whole race, so I had to push my own hole through the air. So we should be able to make quick work of Rob Albani and Mike Scanlon, and then we'll try to do a better job of mixing it up with the front runners. Hopefully we can avoid having the huge gap in front of us like we did in the first race. Looking at the track, it's sort of a tale of split personalities. The first half of the track is all really fast right-handers, and then there's a really tight left-hander, and that leads into a much tighter section. I really like the fast part, the first half of the lap, and less so the slower part. The track was built using the sort of racetrack country club model, where instead of being a track that primarily makes their money hosting big events, they have a membership, they have track days for the members, and it's basically like a country club, except instead of a golf course, they have a racetrack. Another kind of neat thing about it, though, is that if you look, as we're going through the tighter sections, you can see to the driver to my left, you can see these sort of townhouses. Those are apartments that members can buy, and then sort of they build them to the member specifications, and the floor is a garage, and then on the second floor is an apartment. And you can sort of make the apartment as big as you want. They're all really nice. The garages are really nice. They've got really nice cars. It's pretty cool to see. But of course, the downside is that you have a really nice garage and a really nice apartment, but at the end of the day, you're still in Millville, New Jersey, which is not really the most glamorous place to visit. But anyways, we're starting in 8th. We're looking to jump a few spots on the first lap and build on the momentum that we created at Summit Point, where we were solidly within attacking distance of the front runners. So let's go to the green flag and see how we go. So we're coming under the bridge to take the green flag. We've got Rob Albani in the yellow car next to us. Mike Scanlon is in the blue car in front of us, and Burton is in the black race prep car, sort of diagonally to us. So keep our eye on the flag. We get the green flag and we're off. Trying to get in front of Rob Albani so he doesn't hold us up again in front of the front runners, and see if we can sneak past Mike Scanlon. It's going to be difficult to do into turn 1 as he gets the jump on Burton, and we get the jump on Burton as well. I know Burton was struggling with cold tires, with confidence on cold tires, so that's why we're able to get past him as we go a little bit too wide. Hit the curbs pretty hard there. I think that was a pretty good start. We're going to have to get past Mike Scanlon really quickly because the front 3 cars are already pulling away, front 4 cars anyways. So we're going to have to get past Mike Scanlon as quickly as we can. We've got Burton behind us, who we're going to have to keep an eye on. As he gets a little bit loose on the exit, that gives us a chance to pull alongside, but somehow he gets back up to speed, and we're going to be on the outside for the next corner, so it's going to be really difficult to get past. And he gets loose again, so that's going to give us a chance to slot by Mike and see if we can get things together and catch up to that lead pack. It's going to be really difficult, though. So we get a little bit loose, but manage to gather it up. And this long hairpin onto the front straightaway. You can see that yellow car of Rob Albani stalking us in our mirrors. And you can see my hands moving around to adjust the front anti-roll bar. And one of the cars sneaks into the inside. That's Rob Albani getting back in front of us. And I think Burton took advantage of that to get alongside as well. So we're going to lose 2 positions here. And it's a really bad idea to go through these corners side by side. I think turn 1 you can get away with it, obviously, but turn 3 definitely not. It's way too fast. You can see a little bit of a graining pattern as Bob Reed also gets behind us, or in front of us. That's not supposed to happen. We're going to have to collect ourselves a little bit here and try and get past some of these guys. But you can see a little bit of a wear pattern on that right front. I think that means that we're maybe running a little bit too much tire pressure, I think. I'm not exactly sure, but something's not right with it. Just have to stay calm, collect ourselves, and drive the car. We should be able to get past Bob Reed pretty quickly. See if we can use the draft on the front straightaway and get him into turn 1. We're a little bit far back, but it's a fairly long straightaway. Let's see if we can gain some momentum. Gaining it a little bit. We're still pretty far back. Let's see, now we've got a lot of momentum. Let's see if we can pull out to the inside, see if we can outbrake him, and we do. Textbook outbraking maneuver there, even though it was from a little bit of a ways back. I think Bob is a lot more cautious on the brakes than I was, so we are able to make quick work of him. Now we have to just focus ahead, see if we can get Rob in the yellow Pelfrey car. Looks like we've gained a lot of ground on him in just a single corner. He gets a little bit wobbly in the middle of that turn. See if we can do the same thing to Rob that we did to Bob in the last lap. I think we're a little bit closer, so we should be able to really use the draft, and it's already bringing us in quite a bit. Building momentum, and then we're going to move out to the inside and get him under braking. Another textbook decisive outbraking maneuver. So after this, like I said in the first race, where the cars in front of me drove away from me, and then the cars behind me, I kind of drove away from them. From here on out, the same thing basically happens. It's Burton that you can see down the road a bit. He just drives away, and the cars behind me get smaller and smaller in the mirrors until they disappear. So I'm going to leave you guys here. I know some of you are probably going to want to watch the rest of the race anyways, but there's not really a whole lot for me to talk about. So I'm going to take a break, get some coffee, and then I'll meet you guys at the end of the race and we can talk about the results. So finally, we get the checkered flag. Jonathan Kotick takes the win ahead of Bryce Aaron and Josh Green, rounding out the podium. Three very familiar faces to the podium. We again finish in this gigantic chasm between Burt and August in front of us, and Bob Reed and the rest of the Masters drivers behind us. Race 1, like I mentioned, was very, very similar. The first lap or two were fairly interesting, and then we settled into this gap. And the rest of the race is pretty much just me driving around by myself. It's really sort of two of the probably the most boring races of my career. But we come in 6th place. We score 29 points. If we take a look at the championship standings now, we just pipped Scott Rubenzer by a single point. Of course, he's not here this weekend, so we're not going to lose any ground on him. We're only going to gain it. Burt and August is there in front of us a good ways, and then Dexter Zuba ahead of him. It's going to be really difficult. I think there's no way we're going to beat Burt and August in the championship, but my mental math isn't very good, but that's a 60 point gap ahead of Dexter, so that's going to be really difficult as well, even though he's not here. But we'll see. We've got one more race left. This was the penultimate round of the season, so we're going to come back soon with race 3 and the final results of the 2019 championship. So thanks everyone for watching and sticking around for a fairly quiet race. We'll see you soon for race 3.